Wow.
That's kind of my thing now.
At least you got a thing.
Glass full of sun drop and a middle finger. I'm good.
That's what sun drop looks like?
Yeah, it looks like pickle juice.
I was going to say watered down piss.
Nah.
Or maybe it's just the light source on your camera makes it look like watered down piss.
Maybe.
So yeah, for the live stream, I don't particularly care what the cat does because it's not really any big deal. Because that cat's loud today. Holy shit.
I swear she got some kind of radar. She hadn't been doing anything until we started live. And then she walks through here chirping like that.
That's wild. Like, that is some next level purring. Holy God.
Oh, you should have heard her last night. She was full on. And I was in the PlayStation party, and I was like, God, I hope she's not doing that tomorrow. Because that's going to be hell for Ryan on the edit.
Yeah. So before we get into the main discussion that I want to have, I want to get your feedback. Did you finish listening to the episode?
No, I hadn't had a chance to sit down and listen to the rest of it yet.
Obviously there was nothing wrong with it, so I ended up posting it. But I don't, and I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, at least in the context of the podcast, I don't think it's ever been just you and me. I think
I don't believe so.
I obviously we do this with both of us, but I don't think it's all or ever been just you and me for the podcast. What, like, as far as the process and what went into it, how do you think it went as far as the recording and all that stuff? God damn, I'm glad that wasn't on the podcast. That would have been hell to edit. I mean, with the new transcript feature, I wonder what that would have read out as.
It probably would have been like BUUUUURP.
But overall, experience-wise, was it different, or do you think that it was similar to what we do here?
I felt like it was similar to this because, I mean, other than the fact that we recorded it,
Yeah,
it was pretty much just two friends talking.
because I mean, realistically, we're recording this; it just happens to be live, and I mean,
Well, yeah.
we can go live with Riverside, but the difference is, people that want to be in the chat when we do it, we actually have to invite them, because it's not the kind of live chat that we think of here with Restream.
Yeah.
Because it automatically connects to the live chat with Restream, whereas even though with Riverside we can go out to Facebook, was it Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and a bunch of other places, they would all be able to see what we're doing, but we wouldn't necessarily be able to see those chats until we went to those specific platforms to watch the video after. Like,
Yep.
though the live chat would not come into Riverside, they don't have it set up that way. So it's more of an exclusive kind of chat if you want to bring them into Riverside, which I like, because it keeps the audience numbers down, and it allows you to bring in people who are going to properly interact with the discussions that you're having. Um, but as far as shut up, cat. um, as far as like the flow of conversation, I mean, I know that we joked around about how the hell did we get from A to B. As
Yeah.
far as the flow of conversation, how do you think it went?
Oh, it went good.
Yeah. Um, what I think what I liked, and I don't think I've had this issue with Riverside yet, and I hope I never do. Cross my fingers. Um, I don't think I've ever had an issue where anything has cut out or lost connection or anything of that nature. Like we've had issues here with Restream before where the internet just interferes with everything.
Yeah.
Whereas with Riverside, I feel like their overall structure within their website is maybe a little bit stronger and able to handle stuff like that.
Would you hush? Don't backsass me.
um, but no, I thoroughly enjoy that. I mean, I enjoy the editing process, but it just gets monotonous after a while having to, because I mean, I don't know if, I mean, obviously editing pictures is a little bit different because I know that's what you do. Um, when you're editing audio or video, typically when you edit a section, you have to go back and watch that section after you've edited it,
Hmm.
and you have to keep watching it to make sure that you didn't miss anything. And you could edit the same section, mm, you know, multiple times because of things that you missed each previous time. So I like learning how to edit. I don't know if I like the process of editing because of how many
Yeah.
times you have to watch the same fucking thing over again.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I am with the pictures. But the thing is, like, when I go to wrestling, I'll come home, well, depending on how long the show is. If it's a 2 hour
Yeah.
show, I'm not going to have as many pictures. But usually I've got between 400 and 500 pictures. And then I'll sit down and spend the whole day, literally like 5 or 6 hours just editing. And there's times when I'm like, okay, this picture is decent, but it's similar to this other picture. And so
Yeah.
I'm just skipping, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to use this one. I'm not going to use this one. But then it gets to the point where I'm like, damn, I wish I could use that one, but it wasn't quite in focus. So,
Mhm.
but I mean, it gets monotonous. So there's times
Yeah.
I'll just stop, push the computer to the side, and I'll get on the game for an hour or two just to change things up for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I'll stop playing the game and I'll stay in the party talking while I get back on the computer and do more edits.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all time consuming.
Yeah. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I enjoy it to a certain degree, but like I said, just having to go over the same section multiple times, it's like it makes me not even. I enjoy the process of recording and I enjoy the conversation, but I think the reason that a lot of people, even musicians, I'll put it even in musical terms, I think a lot of the reason why musicians don't go back and listen to their own music is because it's something that they heard so many times from, because they're probably, a lot of them are probably active in the editing process and the production process. So
Yeah.
they hear the same damn thing multiple times. So it's like by the time they get the finished product, it's like they don't want to fucking listen to it anymore because they've heard it, 60 times in an hour.
It's funny you mention that because I literally, like, 2 days ago, watched a video where they interviewed Morgan Wallen and he's in the
Hmm.
studio talking about his new album that just come out.
Yeah.
And he was talking about that, going through the editing process and everything. But he was like, the difference was this time my 2-year-old son was in the studio with us. So Luck, it's like he just started wanting to push buttons, and luckily he didn't mess too much stuff up.
I mean, teach them while they're young, I suppose. But yeah, you really got to worry about that, especially when you've got, a spider monkey around, millions of dollars of equipment.
Yeah,
I probably should leave this or unscrewed so I don't so it doesn't get into people's ears. But at the same time, if I leave it uncapped and I go to reach for it and I knock it over, I'm fucked.
yeah. Because when you took the lid off just now, you sounded like you was trying to strangle a mouse.
Please don't do that when I'm drinking. God, don't do that when I'm drinking. Oh, wow. Trying to fucking kill me.
Nah, that would more likely be Amanda than me.
I know it's both of you. Oh. Um, so overall, based on the process of, putting or doing the whole podcast episode, how prepared are you to do it the rest of the week? Like, was it tiring?
No,
No.
no. I mean, look at the amount of times we've been on just a video chat without being streaming or anything and talked for like 4 or 5
True.
hours.
Yeah. Because that my next question was just going to be, because we had actively talked as long as we did, did your throat hurt after? Because I know mine did. Like, my throat was killing me for like the next 24 hours.
Well, I mean, my throat didn't actually hurt, but I've been dealing with this cough for like a month now, ever since I had the bronchitis. So, I mean, that was the only thing. Like after we logged off, I finally uh, took my cough medicine. But
Yeah.
which reminds me, I didn't take it this morning.
um Once we end the live stream, before we go into recording
Yeah,
the podcast, you should do that.
I will.
uh, yeah, I think this week is gonna be hell on our voices, because we've got double duty today. We've got one tomorrow. We've got the podcast tomorrow, and then Wednesday we've got double duty in the morning, or no, in the afternoon, and then in the evening. And then I don't have anything for Thursday yet, and I know you have to work Friday.
No, I'm off Friday unless they schedule me.
Oh, I thought we were only doing 4 days this week because.
No, you
Oh,
said
you know
something
what?
about because you
You know
had
what?
4 episodes to edit.
You know what it was? I got mixed up because Sarah, who we have with us on Wednesday for the evening recording, um, she's only available till Thursday. She's
Uh,
not available on Friday. So I think that's where I got it mixed up. Um, for anybody that's going to be listening back to this, if you want to catch any of the episodes of the podcast, I'll put the link in the description. We're going to have a guest with us on Wednesday. I don't know when that episode will end up being out, but it's going to be Sarah from Two Chicks Talking Flicks. And I've listened to a couple of their episodes. I can't always say that they're talking about movies that necessarily interest me, but I think what I've learned with podcasts in general is I don't necessarily, I mean, I care what they're talking about, but I think it's more, can I make a connection with the person who's speaking? And that's why I like having such diverse conversations with a diverse, group of people, is because I don't really have to like what they're talking about as long as I find them interesting. Because for me, if I find you interesting, I'm gonna find your thoughts interesting. And I like those kind of people. That's the kind of people that I like having conversations with.
Yeah.
So, um, I know after this we're recording an episode. Not to give too much away because I don't want to have to say too much of it now and then have to repeat it um in the episode for the podcast. But how anxious? I mean, even though you've been a few years disconnected from it, how anxious are you to discuss Walmart?
Oh, I got some stuff that I can tell you,
um,
customer wise and company wise.
I think not to give, like I said, not to give too much away, but I think we live in more of
Butterscotch.
we live in more of a surveillance state than we really think we do. And their technology that they're using is absolute proof.
Yeah. I know about the facial recognition stuff they got because my uncle got banned from Walmart, and it wasn't just that one particular store. It was company wide. So, like, if he goes in the door of any of them, they'll find him.
Yeah, that's why I love wearing baseball caps. Because I'm also low enough to where the camera has to try and find me. And then if I'm wearing a baseball cap, they really can't see me. Not that I've ever done anything, illegal or nefarious in Walmart, but it's like I don't want to be, spied on while I'm shopping. It's like
You,
if I wanted to be constantly watched, I'd shit, I didn't fill up the God damn it. I didn't fill up Well, no, because I didn't refill the Brita
ah,
after, and now I'm going to be end up finishing this and I'm not going to have anything to drink.
so you said you put on the ball cap and you're low enough that they really can't see you. Please tell me you haven't taken your wheelchair, went into a Walmart, and just walked in there doing this.
No. No, because I'm not that big of a wrestling fan, so that's not something that would automatically click. No, but that would be funny as hell.
They'd be like, "Why is Yukon Cornelius rolling through the store doing this?"
I'm shaving my fucking beard off. Fuck you.
Man, even when your beard was short before, me and Amanda both told you you look like him.
I know. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I guess so. And it's strange because it's all like out here, and I haven't even put a brush through it in like 2 days, and yet it's all sticking out. I look like I'm fucking Amish. Where's Weird Al when you need him?
Living in an Amish paradise.
Oh,
No,
you
my
saying
beard was doing that on the sides before we went and got our hair cut the other week.
yeah? Like I don't know why my beard started doing this. Like it used to be where it sat, flat regardless. Now I don't know why the hell it does this. I don't know. Um, wow. We're 20 minutes in and we haven't even gotten to what I wanted to talk about. Holy shit. See, this is why I like the live stream. Like, we don't have any structure to it. Oh, surprised we haven't had anybody stop in yet.
Yeah, I keep looking for Denise to jump in.
Yeah. Um, but I mean, to that point, I only put the alert up for the episode probably an hour before we went live.
Mhm.
So, um, yeah, she probably didn't see it. And it's likely because when we stream at 11 here,
Yeah,
it's
it's eight
like
in the morning for her.
8 in the morning over there. So, She probably hasn't had her coffee yet, and she's like, I
Damn
don't want to
time
deal with those
zones.
assholes. Yeah, I know.
That's what I
Yeah.
tell my friends in England that I game with. They message me every day. You going to be online? Well, within the next hour or two, and I'm like, I'm at work. I'll let you know when I get home. I told them the other day, I'm like, y'all are always messaging me while I'm at work. She's like, I know, but we're already home by then. I'm like, yeah, but y'all are also 5 hours ahead of me. Damn time zones. Like, it might be 7 o'clock for y'all, but it's 2 o'clock for me. I'm still at the schools doing these pictures
Yeah.
most of the time.
Um, so to get on to the main topic before we get too deviated from it, because I know that we have the ability to do that. What what would you when you think of nostalgia, what do you think of? Like what comes to mind when you think of nostalgia?
Pretty much the entire decade of the 90s. I mean, I was born in 81, but
Right. So you
the
were
only
like
thing
90
nostalgic for me from the 80s is the Ninja Turtles. Like that and He Man
and
and Transformers
Ghostbusters.
and Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
But I mean, pretty much nostalgia is for me is the 90s,
Yeah.
you know, video games. I spent the biggest part of the 90s. I about said my 90s like I'm already there. Come on now.
Well, I mean, you probably feel like you're in your 90s most of the time.
No, up here I still feel like I'm 18. But then when I try to do the stuff I did when I was 18, my body's like, jokes on you.
Well, I mean, after a long day at work, being on your feet all day, you probably feel like you're in your 90s at the end of the day.
Nah, I'm hanging out around 88 and a half. But no, I spent the biggest part of the 90s playing video games.
Yeah.
I was either at my house playing them, and friends would be spending the night, or I'd be spending the night at friends' house and playing them. We'd be up till 2 or 3 in the morning playing games, go to sleep, wake up somewhere
Yeah.
between 7 and 8, and get back on the game. Well, back
Oh,
then I
yeah.
could get up and function on about 4 hours sleep. Now I
Yeah.
can try, but as soon as I sit down to start trying to play a game or something, I'm going to fall out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing how your body acclimates to different things as you get older, and n- not necessarily the fact that it acclimates to different things, it's how it acclimates to them,
Yeah.
because it's funky. Um Now I understand that you were, 9 and 10 at the beginning of the 90s. Did you ever watch Power Rangers at all?
I watched the first season, or not the first series. I never watched any of the spin-offs,
So you watched the first
the
3
originals.
seasons?
Yeah.
Yeah, the first, yeah. Um which is weird because um after Mighty Morphin, because they had 3 seasons of Mighty Morphin, they went to Zeo, Turbo, In Space, and I forgot, because In Space was the end of what the original fans deemed the Zordon era, because it was a continuous story from Mighty Morphin up to the end of In Space, because it had a lot of the same characters from each show. Like a lot of characters dropped off, but it carried on a lot of the same characters up until that point, or they were in the same general location. Um, like the juice bar in Mighty Morphin, by the time you got to In Space, it was still the juice bar and it was still in Angel Grove, but it was called something different because somebody different had it. Because I don't know if it was by then or maybe a little after. The guy who played Ernie, that ran the juice bar, ended up passing away. Richard something. I forget his last name, but he ended up passing away. But yeah, at the end of Power Rangers in Space, Andros, the Red Ranger, ends up uh, smashing the tube that Zordon is in because Zordon tells him to, so that all of the matter that Zordon is made up of um, can kind of spread out across the galaxy and neutralize all of the evil that is currently in existence at that time. And it does it. Like at the end of it, you see where Lord Zed and Rita Repulsa and all of the villains up until the end of In Space, they all either disintegrate into sand because they weren't biological matter, they were created. Um, there's all you for you creationism people. We weren't created, we were evolved. That's gonna get some people mad. But
Probably.
um all of the things that were created that weren't, natural beings, they all disintegrated into sand. And all of the, natural biological beings, um, reverted back to their uh non-evil selves, like they're the good version of themselves. um I don't remember where I was going with that fucking all. I hate that.
Well, I looked it up.
I
His
said
last name
that
was
I said that
Janelle.
in the episode too when we recorded. uh, all of a sudden I go, I don't remember where I was going with that, and I didn't think I kept it in the episode, but I did. Like, son of a bitch.
No, the guy that played Ernie, his last name was Janelle. Richard Janelle.
Is it Janelle or Grinnell?
They put Genelle.
I always thought it was I always thought it was Grinnell, but actually no. And this is gonna piss people off too because of a name that I'm about to drop. Rick Rick Grinnell is actually somebody somebody that worked for the Trump administration.
Ah,
Get bent, people. I don't care if you get mad that I mention, Orange Man's name.
so many people call him Orange Man. I just wonder if somebody has drawn like a caricature of him and his face is actually an orange.
Oh my god, that just made me think of something. Do you remember? You're getting me off topic, by the way. I'm just going to point that out. Um, do you remember? Was it the angry orange or the annoying orange that was on TV? Do you remember? Or no, that was on the internet. Was it the angry orange or the annoying orange? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I ain't thought about that thing forever in forever.
Can you
Damn.
imagine if they put Trump's hair on the annoying orange?
Oh God.
That's hilarious. They probably do. Like if you look at Google Images and put in Trump annoying orange, they probably did. Yeah, the annoying orange. See if they put Trump's hair on the annoying orange because that is just hysterical. That's funny as hell.
Um,
Oh
Annoying
no.
Orange actually did an episode called Donald Trunk.
Oh god. I have to find that later. Why does it look like Donald Trump is a loaf of bread?
Because I think that's what he is.
Wow. That's wild.
And the little pin on his shirt says Orange Party.
That's awesome. Wow.
Anyway, back to the
Oy.
nostalgia.
Oh, it wouldn't be a discussion between us if we didn't deviate. Um, so the whole reason that I bring up the nostalgia, and I know you didn't watch it, but end of last week, well, no, was it Wednesday or Thursday? Um, they released, oh, it was Wednesday, the 30th anniversary special of the original Power Rangers series. So it was basically the 30th anniversary of Mighty Morphin. Um, and it showed me just how you can manipulate people into thinking that you're giving them something invaluable because like the teasers that they gave, like I was anxious to see how they handled the story of the character of Trini Kwan because the actor Tui Trang passed away in 2002 in a car accident. So that was some kind of closure that I think the fans were looking for. Um, the way they handled that was that they gave Trini a daughter, and in the beginning of the 30th anniversary special, they had somebody in the original Yellow Ranger costume. Um, and you see Robo Rita, which I'll explain in a second, um, kill the Yellow Ranger. And you hear Trini's voice or Twee Trang's voice. Um, and I think it was very jarring for a lot of people
Yeah.
because what they did is they didn't get Austin St. John to come back as the Red Ranger because he's dealing with a lot of legal trouble right now, so he can't leave the country. And they filmed over in New Zealand. They obviously couldn't get Tweet Shrang because she passed away. Um, they didn't get Amy Jo Johnson, who played Kimberly, for the whole reason that they didn't get her is still kind of a mystery to a lot of the fans because I don't know that the reason that she gave is the full reason. Um, and then for obvious reasons, they didn't get Jason Frank to come in and reprise his role as Tommy for obvious reasons because he passed away as well. But at the same time, they technically could have before he passed away because it was filming before he passed away, but I guess he chose not to be a part of it. Um the thing that I didn't like was that they used Austin, Twee, Amy, and Jason's voices, like their audio from back in 93 to make it seem like they were the ones in the costumes, and I think it pissed a lot of people off.
Yeah.
Whether they want to say it or not, I think it pissed a lot of people off. Um, because Robo Rita ended up shrinking them down and kind of they ended up looking like action figures. Ended up taking them and keeping them in her new sky castle because I guess when I don't remember if after Mighty Morphin, if the Sky Castle was or in the castle on the moon rather. Um I don't remember if they destroyed that somehow, but it looked completely different than it did back in the 90s. So she took the action figures back to the base on the moon and kept them there. But long story short, I'm watching this whole thing, and there was some great points in there. I think the only strong point that they had throughout the whole thing was how they handled Tui Trang's passing, the absence of Trini Kwan.
Yeah.
Um, I think they told that part of the story well. Zach, played by Walter Jones, did great. Like he was exactly the way he was back in the 90s. Energetic, very fluid in his movement, very fluid in his dialogue, like he had never left the show.
Yeah.
The rest of them is where the issue comes in. Um, Billy, who was played by David Yost, who Amanda and I are actually going to get to meet this summer, which I can't wait. Um, that's going to be awesome. I don't know if he looks the way he does because of natural age or if they aged him because of the storyline that ended in 93. He ended up um it, canonically he ended up aging rapidly because of how he do you remember when the Rangers were turned into kids
Hmm.
in 93 or not 93 but in like 96 before the show ended? um Billy ended up developing something that turned them back into adults. But in doing so, he ended up causing himself to age rapidly. So what happened was he ended up having to go to Aquitar with the Equation with the Alien Rangers to slow down or stop the rapid aging process. When we see him in the 30th anniversary special, like I said, I don't know if the way that he looks is because of how David Yost has aged, or if it's because they wanted to show the the rapid progression of age for the character of Billy. But either way, he was very stiff in his movements. He was very you could tell that it was scripted. Like with a lot of those shows, the things that they say are stupid, but they say them very fluidly. So it just sounds like they're having a stupid conversation.
Yeah.
Um the the dialogue was very stiff and you could tell that it was very scripted. Um it was almost like, to put it into wrestling terms, it was almost like they didn't shake off enough of the ring rust. Because it seemed like they were out of practice for so long that they just didn't shake enough of it off. Um, when they used to do the morph sequence in the 90s, it was very that was another thing. It was very fluid, and it was you could sense the sense or you could sense the vibe of like an adrenaline rush in their voice. It sounded very forced with all of them when they did their morph sequence, except for Walter Jones. Um, like I said, I think he's the only one that really has kept up with it. So I think he just didn't leave that that version of him when he in '96.
Yeah.
Um, but it, I I watched it when it released because it released at 3 a.m. on Wednesday. I don't know why the hell I mean, it I for some reason in my head I felt like I need to watch it at 3 a.m. when it releases because for some reason my brain had me thinking that was the only time it was going to be on. Kind of like that the Chris Rock comedy special that he did. That was the first live thing that Netflix ever did. For some reason, I think my brain was stuck on that and thinking that it was going to look different if I watched it, you know, later on in the day. So I watched it at 3 a.m. There were some definite emotional moments that I liked, but I think they 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 promoted it as it's going to be a more mature version of Power Rangers because they realize that the audience that's going to be that's the audience that is nostalgic for Mighty Morphin is damn near in our 40s. And
or in the 40s.
well, yeah. Um but I think it fell flat because a lot of the dialogue, like I said, sounded stiff. A lot of the lines fell flat. Like the writing was fucking terrible. One of the things that fans were saying before it even aired was the fact that they knew it was going to be for a more mature audience because in 30 years in the series they've never characterized anybody as being killed, and they actually said in the anniversary special that Trini was killed. So that they're like, oh yeah, they're going towards a more mature. And it's like I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, yeah, they did say the word killed, but the rest of it is just I I really think that they had forgotten that they were trying to appeal to an older audience with this, and it just sounded so stupid and stiff and just made me want to barf. And watching videos on YouTube of people reviewing the special and just talking it up like it was this fucking masterpiece. It's like, are you guys so manipulated by nostalgia that you can't see past your fucking nose? Because that was the biggest manipulation for money that I've ever seen. And it's like it made me realize that if you give the power of nostalgia to corporate America or to any corporation, they're going to use it as a manipulation tactic. And something I said to you last week about a video that I had watched from Brett Cooper, how she was talking about people or fact that she doesn't think that um, people who go to Comic Con or read comic books or any of that or the collector community, she thinks that they're all stunted adults that just don't want to grow up. While I disagree with her on that, I can agree with her on the fact that people who lean too much into nostalgia, I'm I think psychologically I'm going to agree that I don't know that they know how to function as proper adults. And certain acquaintances that we have who deal with nostalgia for the content that they put out, I'm going to be careful because I don't want, I mean, I'm not going to say their name, but if they watch this and they, out themselves by coming after me publicly, that's on them. But they put out a video and they talked about the 30th anniversary special, and they talked about it like it was a fucking masterpiece. And it's like, I that makes me look negatively at nostalgia or what nostalgia is supposed to be, because I think what nostalgia is supposed to be is appreciating where you came from or the things that inspired you, but acknowledging also how far you've come from that time in your life. And I think from the experience of watching all of these people react to this, it's proof that there aren't enough people who practice self-reflection or, self-realization, self-actualization, however you want to characterize it. And it just
Oh,
I'm
excuse me. Holy
wow,
crap.
dude. I
That
mean,
one snuck up on me.
if you wanted to talk, all you had to do was tell me to shut up.
No, I mean, because I didn't watch the special, so I'm just listening to what you had to say about it.
No, I know.
But that
But
snuck up on me. It kind of hurt.
and I know that obviously you're not as deep into the weeds with certain uh properties that I am, like Power Rangers and, things of that nature.
Yeah.
But in all of the stuff that we've talked about, like the three of us and all of like the kind of nostalgia stuff and the things that you're nostalgic about, are does it make you, like, if you were to watch something that was nostalgia to you, but they didn't really change anything, like they promoted it as, hey, this is going to be for you the age you are now versus bringing you back to your 8-year-old self. But they really made it they really fell short. Like, how would you react? Would you still praise the shit out of them and kiss their ass, or would
No,
you be critical of it?
no, I'd be critical, especially if I didn't like it. Like, I remember it was the early 2000s. They tried to do it when they brought back Ren and Stimpy, and it
I
was
kind of remember
horrible.
that.
It was so bad. Like, they tried too hard to be like the original, but they tried too hard to be like the original, but go even harder. If that makes sense.
See, the thing is, like, I can understand trying to be like the original. You can be like the original, but modernize it. Don't go so hard that you're literally trying to recapture things that we no longer have in our
Yeah,
purview anymore.
yeah. But like, honestly, I think that's what they've tried to do with a lot of the newer Ninja Turtle stuff. Um,
I got to get back into watching those.
like growing up, that was my heroes.
Hmm.
Like, I didn't really start getting into Marvel until I found X-Men in the 90s.
Same here.
But the Ninja Turtles, like, I liked the Michael Bay movies, but I will still take the original movies over any of them any day of the week.
Yeah.
Except for the third one. Turtle the Where they went back in time was not a good movie.
I loved it when they went to Japan. You shut your whore
No.
mouth.
The original one was the best. The very first one was the
Yes,
best.
their very first one was the best. Second one was kind of iffy, but I like the fact that I think the second one was the one that introduced Casey Jones. Am I right?
No, he was in the first.
Oh, he was in the
The
first.
second one was, people were told we were going to get Bebop and Rocksteady, and then we got Toka and Razor. It was like a wolf and a
No,
snapping turtle.
are you talking about the original second movie?
Yeah. You had I think the guy's name was Kano.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah. Oh my god! How the hell did you pull Kano out of your ass? Like,
Because I saw the movie not too long ago.
um, yeah. Oh my god! I remember Kano. I
What I
completely
didn't
forgot.
like about the second one, and I didn't realize it at the time when it first
Mhm.
came out, it wasn't until me and Courtney were already married. They never used their weapons. The turtles never used their weapons in the second movie
You know
because
what?
after the first movie, parents said it was too violent. Well, the first movie was an independent movie. After it made the money it made, movie studios started wanting to do the second movie, and I can't remember who did it. But because parents were upset that they were so violent in the first one, they didn't let the turtles use their weapons. So, like, Leonardo's got his swords on his back, never took them off and used them the whole time. Michelangelo never used his nunchucks, but there was a scene where he had a roll of, or a thing of sausages, and he's swinging them like nunchucks.
I remember that. Okay, yeah.
But
I didn't know the original movie was an independent movie. I thought that it was studio made.
it was independent because nobody wanted to get behind it.
Wow. That just proves that independent and fan made stuff is so much better.
Yeah,
Because we don't fucking care. We have no people to answer to.
yeah.
Um
Now I
the
think after the studio picked up the second movie, I think when they started putting their name on the first one after they started putting it on like VHS and stuff, and
yeah.
when it was released later. But and I think I've told you this before, but there's only like 12 or 18 minutes of footage that was actually filmed in New York for the first one. The
Yeah.
rest of the movie was filmed here in North Carolina in Wilmington.
Oh wow, I
And
didn't know that.
my cousin's dad worked on the movie set where they were filming it.
That's
So my
cool.
cousin was like the most popular kid in his neighborhood on his birthday because the people put on the turtles outfits and went to his house for a Ninja Turtles party. So he had the actual turtles there.
Yeah, you did tell me about that.
My my cousin's, I mean, well, she's my second cousin, but she told me that there were kids in the neighborhood who had gotten into a fight with my cousin and wouldn't like they wouldn't try to make up with him. So when they found out the turtles were there and all these kids from the neighborhood started showing up to see the turtles, the kids who he wasn't friends with, all they could do was stand on the road and hope to get a glimpse of them because they wouldn't let them in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm so jealous of your son right now. Like 10
uh
year old me wants a Ninja Turtle party like that.
yeah. I'm trying to think. Like there's a lot of collectors type of shows that I've watched, and I've seen the original, like modern day. I've seen the original turtle costumes, and nobody did anything to preserve them. They look
I
like
saw them too.
hell.
I saw a video about them. They're cracking
Yeah,
and
I don't
starting
remember
to fall
where I
apart
saw it, but holy shit, they're bad.
because I didn't know that those outfits, those costumes were made out of the stuff that Nerf balls are made out of
Yep.
until I saw that video. But yeah, it
Um,
was sad.
I actually, not the voice, but the suit actor. I actually met the suit actor for Michelangelo when I went to uh one of the conventions
There she is.
in Tampa. Hey,
Denise.
Denise. Um,
Oh,
but yeah, I actually went to two conventions back to back in Tampa. Uh, some year, a couple years ago. Not well. This was back in 2016, maybe 2015. Um, and I met the suit actor for Michelangelo. Cool dude, like absolute just gem of a human being.
dark headed guy, right?
Uh, yeah, either some. Well, I mean, I guess Filipino's kind of Asian. Either like literal Asian or Filipino. I don't remember.
So I was told that the four turtles had an interaction with their suit actor in the original movie. So
Yes, they did.
when Raphael goes sliding across the hood of the taxi, the passenger was the suit actor.
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
then whenever he's looking for the address to deliver the pizza to and is down in the sewer and he's like, "You didn't pay me all of it." And Michelangelo's like, "Wise man say forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza."
Yep, I remember
The
that.
delivery driver was the Michelangelo suit actor.
Oh wow, yeah. I think I remember the guy or the suit actor for Michelangelo telling me about all that when I met him.
And I
He was
can't remember the other two interactions for the other two
yeah.
turtles, but
Oh god, I want to watch those movies now. Gotta find them.
I've got all
Uh,
three of them,
well,
and
they're
I've got
on.
some of the DVDs on cartoons on DVD.
I've got there's one of the streaming services has the Ninja Turtle movies. I just gotta find which one. Um, I'm not reading that out loud because I'll get I'll get in trouble. I don't care that it's in the chat. I'll get in trouble. I'll be the one that gets my ass handed to me. Um I I'm gonna say this. I mean, I know, and it's not necessary. I don't remember what nationality the guy was. Uh, I don't remember what nationality the suit actor was. I'm only assuming. I think, if I remember correctly, he was maybe Asian or Filipino. I could be very wrong. I'm not good with nationalities. Um, like I said, though, he was a gem of a human being. I would love to see him again. Um, but yeah,
So
it's
in the first movie, what was your favorite scene?
in the first Ninja Turtles movie.
Yeah,
I I would have to watch it again to really give a good answer, but from immediate recall, I would probably have to say what were they robbing? The Foot Clan was robbing like a toy store. Was it a toy store that they were robbing?
I think that's in the
And
second one
was it the second one?
because I think one of the turtles took a yo-yo and was spinning around and hitting the foot soldiers in
Yeah,
the
I thought
face.
that was in the I thought that was in the first one. So the Foot Clan wasn't in the uh
No, they were in the first one too. I think the first one you're thinking about. I think April lived in the apartment above the antique store,
maybe. I
and
don't
they all showed up in the antique store.
maybe that's what I'm thinking of that they robbed. Um that I thought that the toy store was the first one. I really got because I know the second one was the Secret of the Ooze.
And you never found out about the ooze.
Yeah. But God love places like Etsy. Um they actually have artists on Etsy who have actually created um like water bottles that look like a canister of
Oh, that's
TGRI.
awesome.
Look like a canister from TGRI. And why do I remember the name of that lab? Why?
Because the canister that had the ooze in it, the two guys that created the Ninja Turtles were huge Daredevil fans, so they threw that in there as a tribute to Daredevil because I think it had something to do with what made him go blind.
Oh, see, I didn't even know that, but I'm just wondering why I specifically remember the letters that were on the canister. Um,
Some things you just don't forget.
and it's the stupidest things you don't
It's like
forget.
you can hear a song that you ain't heard in 30 years and you still know every word to it.
Yeah, or you hear a song that you didn't even grow up with, and somehow down the line you end up knowing every word to it. Uh, just get yourself cricket machine. I read that
I
for a
thought it
minute.
said circuit.
I
I'm
for
sitting
a
here
minute
like,
I read it as circuit. I was like, "What's a circuit machine?" Then I
that's what
said,
I was doing.
um, but no, the a cricket machine. No, what I would have to get, if I wanted to make a canister TGRI, um, I would have to get a 3D printer. The cricket only does decals and stuff. I don't think they do 3D printers. But that would be cool to have like a water bottle that says TGRI on it. I gotta go over to Etsy and see if I can get one of those.
And let me tell you this too: the original cartoon. Do you know that Donatello was the only turtle whose voice actor didn't have to change his voice?
I did not know that. No.
I was watching this thing on YouTube. I mean, it's been about a year or so ago. I didn't know it till then either. But they were showing them the different people that were doing the voices, and they were talking. And when they got to Donatello, the guy that did his voice, I'm like, why is he talking like Donatello? And then he's like, and I'm the only one who already had the voice they wanted, so I didn't have to change it. I'm like, oh,
um,
okay.
Denise, I'm gonna put something in the chat. Speaking of different things, if I don't know if you've gotten a chance to listen to the podcast episode that we put out. We put it out yesterday. Um, we ended up talking about the project that Chad, myself, and Amanda have been working on. We're actually writing a movie script, and we created merch for it. So if you go here, you can find the merch. Please let it work. Please let it work. Please let it work.
It's in on my side.
Yeah, I see it. Um, although it says host instead of, it's weird. Um, and I'm trying to think of what the hell's the promo code? Shit. Uh, Hold on. I gotta go down and look.
I don't remember the promo code either.
I saw it earlier and I don't remember it now. Oh, that's pretty self-explanatory. That promo code, see, it should have been right in my head because literally it's the name of the movie. That promo code will get you 10% off. But yeah, we are. I'm hoping that, and I say this all the time with the designs that we put in the merch store, but I'm hoping that this design will get people to actually start buying things because we really need to get funding for this movie so that we can make it, because I think I not even the fact that it's going to be fun to do, but I think the nature of what the movie is, I think is necessary for the world that we live in today. So, um, but yeah, if actually, hold on. If you go there, you can find the podcast on whatever uh, platform you listen to. The most recent episode. Like I said, I think that this movie's going to actually hopefully make a difference. Yeah, that was a discussion the other day that I was having with Amanda, and I think was it in the group chat or was it in the one-on-one? I don't
No,
remember.
it was in the one-on-one, and then you sent me the link to look at
Okay,
those. You
yeah,
said
so it was
she
in
was
the one.
going to get you when she saw it.
Yeah, yeah, Amanda had said something to me, and I said something like, "Look, little girl, it's not hyperlinked." Uh, oh, I know why.
Oh, I think I see why too.
Yep, in the beginning of it.
Yep.
Here we go. It's missing a T in the other in the original one, I think.
Yep. That's what
Um,
I saw.
but yeah, we Amanda and I were having a discussion, and she said something to me like just completely sarcastic, like she always does, and I expect that from her. And I go, look, little girl, something, and I said something to the effect of, this is what we're not gonna do. You need to go put your regular pants on and not your sassy pants. And my brain goes, sassy pants needs to happen. So I'm like, yep, that's gonna happen.
So I just got to tell you this. Every time somebody says something about being sassy, I think about my daughter because she's one of the sassiest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
But I can't remember. We were all going somewhere, and she said something so sarcastic, and I looked at Courtney. I'm like, that one's got a lot of sass in her ass. And
Um, Denise, if you use that promo code until the end of the day, you get 25% off. The other one is for 10%. Um, but I put the new episode I started yesterday for 24 hours so that people would hopefully get into the store and buy some stuff and get 25% off. Um, the Pod Outcast one is only for 10%. But yeah, the new episode one only is only valid um until the end of the day. And I think going forward, when I post a podcast episode, I'm gonna have the new episode promo code each, for 24 hours uh following the upload. So hopefully it'll generate some sales. But yeah, there's there's some pretty cool shit in there. I like the new podcast or the Pod Outcast design. I think I'm hoping a lot of people will catch on to that one. I like that one. See, this is what happens with my beard being so long. I just went to scratch my face, and one of my beard hairs got stuck in my nail. So I've either got to cut my beard or cut my nails, probably both. Um, so overall, I think just to kind of round it out, I'll ask you, do you think that it's possible for people to lean too much on nostalgia
mhm.
and let themselves be manipulated like that?
I went to school with a guy who he, I know he was held back 1 year.
Hmm.
He might have been held back 2 years. I don't know. But he's older than me by a year or two.
Yeah,
Um, he's fully like he still lives with his mom.
yeah,
They both fully. It's all nostalgia. Like all they listen to is old music, which is nothing wrong with that because the old music's better than the new music. They hardly watch any of the new shows. They He still gets up on Saturday mornings and watches the Saturday morning cartoons.
yeah,
And I'm like, I understand, like he's watching the new cartoons, but I'm like, why? The new cartoons suck. At least find like a channel and watch the old stuff that was good.
yeah,
But I mean, they don't get rid of anything. When I used to go over to his house, they had stacks and stacks and stacks of old TV guides. And they never looked at them. They just sat there because there was somebody on the cover they liked. Or,
yeah. Well, I can't really say much because there have been TV guides that have been collector's items. Like I have one. I want the one from when the Power Rangers originally came out in '93. Um, but I have one with Elvis on it. I have several, and I think it's because for me, the TV guide reminds me of being over watching TV and watching movies with my grandma. So I
Hmm.
think that's why I enjoy having the TV guides that I do. But
I
I
mean, don't
digress.
get me wrong. I used to look through it all the time because I loved the Cheers and Jeers section. I would read Cheers and Jeers all the time, every time one came out.
Now, was that in the small TV guide, or was
Yeah.
that when they went to the bigger version?
No,
Because I don't
I
remember.
never looked at the bigger one. It was in the small one.
Because I don't remember Cheers and Jeers being. Because I don't remember Cheers and Jeers being in the smaller version when I was a kid.
Yeah, I don't remember what what it talked about. Like it might have been shows or something a celebrity had done.
Yeah.
But I also don't remember when they started putting them in there because I didn't start actually looking at the TV guide till the mid '90s.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, but no, I mean these people. There would be cereal boxes just because they might have Batman on the front, and they would keep the boxes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it. You went in their house and you walked into a literal episode of Hoarders.
Although I can't see, this is gonna make me sound bad because I'm sitting here saying how people are too much on nostalgia. But if you come into my apartment, on the top of my fridge, I actually have a box of what they consider Reptar cereal
Uh huh.
because they sold it at FYE. Now I bought it because if you remember in the cartoon, it turned your well, I don't know if I know the Reptar bars turned your tongue green. I don't remember if the cereal did, but when I got the cereal, I'm thinking it was gonna be, looking like little cereal dinosaurs.
Hmm.
No, you know what they did? They
What?
repackaged fucking Fruit Loops.
Ah.
And I bought 2 boxes, one to try, one to keep. Um, this was probably 7, 8 years ago now, so I don't even want to open that box.
I'll say open it and test it out now.
No. But no, I was so deflated and disappointed when I opened it. I'm like, this is just Fruit Loops. And you know what? I wouldn't have minded if it had been different kind of Fruit Loops that actually turned um the milk green.
Yeah.
I would have been cool with that. But no, it had to be fucking Fruit Loops in a Reptar cereal box. Fuck you.
But no, I mean, having that on your fridge, there's nothing wrong with that. But when I go into his house and he's got literally hundreds of cereal boxes from the '80s on, just because he
Yeah,
didn't want to throw them away because of a cartoon character,
right.
I mean, I feel like that's just going overboard.
I think my gripe, at least in the current conversation, in the context of the current conversation we're having, is the people that rely too much on how they felt back when they were kids versus now. Because and here's the example I'm going to give. When back in, was it 2014, when they had Power Rangers Super Mega Force. In the end of Power Rangers Super Mega Force, they had what was called the Legendary Battle, which was where the Mega Force crew ended up going up against an absurd amount of the henchmen that that season's villain created, and it was just an absurd amount. So all of a sudden, you see the Megaforce Rangers looking into the distance, going, "Who are they?" And you see 70, 80 different Rangers from past seasons coming up to join them. And obviously, Jason David Frank was part of that legendary battle, which was great. But in the original episode of that, the legendary battle, like the actual scene where that happened, was literally only I think less than 3 minutes long, and people were pissed because they hyped it up so much. And so they're like, and they made it known. Like they got on social media and they were like, "This is bullshit. You need to fix this. We didn't, gather around and anticipate 2 minutes of fight time." And so they actually, like, the studio that produced that episode went back, added in originally cut footage to add to the battle. And that was right there where our voices were heard. And it's like, if you're going to give us nostalgia like that, fucking do it right.
Yeah.
And another example, and I think you remember this because I think you, me, and Amanda spoke about this, although we didn't do it on a podcast. When they released the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie with Jim Carrey as the villain, people were pissed off because Sonic looked like he was from the fucking ghetto and like he had just climbed out of a sewer. He didn't even look like the hedgehog that we grew up with in the video games or the cartoons. And people raised holy hell
Yeah.
online about it. And the studio said, well, this isn't going to make us any money. Let's, do what they say. They went back and fixed the way that Sonic looked, and it looked fantastic. So my question is, why didn't they have the same energy for the fucking 30th anniversary special for Power Rangers? That could have been so much, the content of that could have been so much better. The storyline, the dialogue, everything could have been stepped up and just turned all the way up to 100, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was just bullshit that they were hoping they could rely on people's feelings about their childhood to make them appreciate it. And all of these people that are feeding right into that, it's like, I want to go, I'll buy them all and kick them in the nuts, whether they have them or not. But I mean, I guess in today's world, you don't know.
Right.
Let's see. Frank and Son's collectibles show here in City of Industry. California is a collector's dream. Yeah. I think there was a publicity stunt. They did that on purpose to have people talking. The Sonic that we got was what they were going to come out with. That's an interesting theory. You know what, Denise? Now you've got me wondering. That's an interesting theory. I mean, it's an interesting manipulation tactic.
I never would have thought of it like that.
No, I didn't. Denise, why are you not on podcasts with us? Like, you think the way that we don't.
And most of the time, we don't think.
No.
No, you want to know what I remember about the Sonic the Hedgehog movie? I mean, I've seen it a couple times. I remember the movie, but
yeah.
So me and Courtney we were going to go on a date night. Left my daughter with my in-laws. We went to Outback Steakhouse. Then we went to the movies.
Uh-huh.
They were showing the previews. The previews ended. It was getting ready to start the movie, and a woman come walking in, and she says, ladies and gentlemen, we need everybody to evacuate the building. There will be somebody out in the lobby giving out passes so you can get in at a later time for free. Didn't tell us why we had to leave. So we all left. People were leaving every theater.
Somebody released a fart bomb, didn't they?
No. That would have been mild compared to what really happened.
Oh.
We're going through the lobby, and they're giving everybody the passes to get back in. We get outside, and there's like 4 fire trucks.
Wow.
Now, it come out, I don't remember what the month was, but it was still pretty cold in the evening. Like, it got warm in the daytime, it got cold in the summer. The heat and air conditioning unit on top of the building, right above the movie theater we were in, caught fire.
Whoa.
Yeah. So we left. We sat there and watched them for a little while, and then we left. And I'm like, damn, Sonic ran so fast he caught the building on fire.
Oh, my God.
But
leave it to you to come up with some stupid shit like that.
but we, the next week we said, okay, let's try this again. We went somewhere else to eat, and then we called the theater and we're like, are y'all open? You know, are we able to come and watch the movie this week? Because last week the building caught fire. They're like, yeah, you're good. Yeah, we were open. So we finally got to go watch it, and I was really
Yeah.
impressed with the movie.
Yeah.
I still got to see the second one though, because that after credit scene when Tails showed up,
Disney Plus.
yeah. But when Tails showed up,
Yeah.
my inner whatever how old I was when that game come out
Yeah.
was all excited because Tails was my favorite.
Yeah.
So I've still got to
Um
see that.
yeah, they have in the second one they have Tails and Knuckles.
Yeah, I found out about Knuckles later on.
Yeah. I was impressed with both of those movies. And I don't know if Jim Carrey did anything after the second Sonic movie, but I know now he has declared that he is retired from acting. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah. Like I said, I and the this is going to give him more of an idea that we're talking about him. I don't really give a fuck. Um the specific acquaintance that we have that you know full well who I'm talking about.
Hmm.
It wasn't him that did a video on his channel. It was one of his chucklehead friends who is actually the reason that he and I have some friction between us because they released a discussion between the two of them several months ago where they were talking about Power Rangers, and this guy was getting everything wrong that came out of his fucking face hole. And I messaged our acquaintance. I'm like, dude, it makes me want to cry how much he got wrong. And so for whatever reason, the schmuck turned around and told his buddy. And we were actually supposed, all three of us were supposed to do an episode together. And because his buddy got butthurt that I criticized him, it put a rift between me and said individual. Um, but with the video that they just put out about the anniversary special, it was completely sucking on the tit of nostalgia and not actually criticizing the shit quality of the story. Like I said, the only good thing that came out of the anniversary special was the storyline about the passing of Trini Kwan.
Mm.
And I think what pissed me off the most is they didn't even acknowledge Jason David Frank's uh, death in the special. The only thing they did was they put a picture of both of them, Twee Trang and Jason David Frank at the end with their birthday and the day that they passed, and it said once a Ranger, always a Ranger. So they basically treated his death, which granted, her death was tragic. Obviously, car crash, that was tragic. But when there's so much talk around taking your own life, I got to be careful because YouTube doesn't like certain words.
Yeah.
When there's so much talk right now about taking your own life, and the fact that that's what happened to Jason Frank, they could have handled that so much better than treating him like a fucking footnote, because he was the one that basically carried the series. Like, I
Yeah.
guarantee if he didn't appear in subsequent seasons, I don't think the series would have continued for what it was, because it almost ended here in the States before the end of Mighty Morphin until they brought him back as the White Ranger. So for the anniversary special to treat his death like a footnote, I was pissed. And like I said, the episode that our acquaintance put up, they were, all, praising the special. It's like, Get your head out of your nostalgic ass and be able to look past your nostalgic nose to see that what you were just fed was a manipulation tactic. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, I think everybody gets nostalgic about stuff, but I've been sitting here this whole conversation trying to think like the only
You've
thing
been
I've
sitting
got.
here this whole conversation trying to get me to shut up so you could say more.
No, no, no. Um, I think the only thing I have in my house that even brings up any kind of nostalgia would be some of my DVDs, some of my music. There used to be a line of toys in the 80s called Robo Force, and I've got one of those still here. It
Mm-hmm.
was my favorite one, and I guess that's the only reason it survived all this long.
Yeah.
And then the little bit of Nightmare Before Christmas stuff I got, and my Charlie Brown stuff because I freaking loved Peanuts.
Uh, yeah. I
Uh,
really hope that wasn't caught on the mic.
oh, it was on the mic. I heard it. I'm sure Denise probably heard it too.
Well, at least it wasn't directly into the mic. I turned my head.
Yeah, but like when people will hear a song that makes them feel nostalgic.
Yeah.
So you know who Luke Combs is, right? Country
Yeah.
singer.
Yeah.
So
No,
the
you didn't,
twins,
Denise. You're lying.
the when I went and picked him up to go to wrestling last week, the twins brought me his new CD.
Uh-huh.
He has a song on there that the title of the song sounds painful. The song's called "Tattoo on a Sunburn."
Tattoos
Um,
feel like a sunburn.
yeah, but now
Like
imagine getting one on a sunburn.
no, because the hundreds of needles that they use, that's when you first get a tattoo, that's what they describe it as. It feels like having a bunch of needles on a tat or scraping against a sunburn. That's how they describe it.
But
But yeah.
so the song's talking about he was at the beach and he met this girl.
Uh-huh.
They got drunk and they went. She talked him into getting her name tattooed on him.
Stupid asshole.
And then, like the next day, he woke up and she was gone, and he never saw her
Yep.
again.
Stupid asshole.
That song. I mean, I obviously didn't get the tattoo because I was only 16 at the time, and I wasn't with my parents, so I didn't have anybody that could sign off for me to get one.
Right.
Uh, but I had went to the beach with some friends that year.
Yeah.
I had helped them move, and they didn't have the money to pay me. So a few months later, when they went to the beach, they took me with them. That was how they paid me. I'm like, hey, a free beach trip? I'm a
Yeah.
beach bum. Like I'm a beach bum at heart. Like I think I was born in the wrong part of North Carolina. I should be closer to the beach than I am the mountains.
Yes, we know you want to go to the Outer Banks.
Oh no, I'm going in June. But
You go every year. Shut up.
well, I mean, that's cause as long as I'm married, that's where we go for our anniversary. But but
As
when I
long
was
as
out
you're
there,
married. Courtney, did you hear that?
well, I mean, I'm not planning on getting unmarried. But
Good cover.
I don't think there's anybody else out there to put up with me.
I mean, there's me and Amanda, but not in that sense.
Yeah, I'm about to say. Anyway, no. While I was out there, like I met this girl that was staying at that hotel the first night,
Yeah.
and we all left to come home the same day. And at the time, she lived in Monroe, which is about an hour and 10 minutes from where I'm living.
Hmm.
But I never saw her anymore. It was just like the missed opportunity or the one that got away or whatever, however you want to describe it. But when I
Yeah.
heard that song, I was listening to it while I was driving down the road the first time I heard it,
Yeah.
and I was 16 again. And I'm like, I don't think I've ever heard a song that put me back in time like that one did. It was just kind of a weird experience.
Yeah. But, all right. I think we need to let our voices rest for a half an hour before we go record
Yeah.
because we're about to record another podcast episode. Denise, thank you for coming in and sticking around. Um, Obviously, there was a little bit of discussion before you popped in, but I do appreciate you coming in always.
And we talked about
Um, yeah, we definitely talked about you. Um, we definitely mentioned you in the beginning of the episode, but yeah, I don't know when we are gonna do another live stream because I know we're attempting to do episodes all this week for the podcast. And the only ah, oh rewind. Like, wait, what did you say?
no, we just mentioned how we're surprised you hadn't jumped in yet.
Yeah, and then I told him I'm like, well, it's kind of like ridiculously early over there, so
Damn
but yeah,
time zones.
we're gonna go let our voices rest for about a half an hour, even though we're probably gonna stay connected on video. Um but yeah, we will see you guys again at some point. I don't know. Yeah. Bye guys. Bye Denise.
Later.